Well, fellas, I have had me a day. After 7 months of rain here in Washington, the sun finally came out about 2 days ago, and it's a 72-degree grasshoppers flying day like you read about, day like you lived in when you were a kid. And the wind has been a little bit snippy, but I am getting a chance to shoot this 277 Sig Fury cartridge, and as I said, I was going to enter into it gently, and because we're going where nobody's ever gone before. And as I said, I have had a day. One of those, I haven't had a day, I haven't felt like this for so many years that it feels so good. It's exciting. I remember the 70s. 70s were good. 80s were good. But the 70s were my special time. I was just getting old enough to get a license, and I'm getting my first jobs, and I'm getting my first big fish, and I'm hunting my way home from school, bringing my shotgun on the bus and dropping it in the locker at school, and getting dropped off and hunting on the way. Days alone, days when you're just finding out how good God's creation really is. The 70s were my time for that. And if any of you guys are as dirt road country as I am, old and dirt road country, maybe you can appreciate my day. 1978, Kenny and Dottie came out with a song. I remember it well. I feel sorry for anyone that isn't me tonight. Been there, done that, felt that. Know exactly what they were trying to say there. And I'm here to tell you that there are certain things in life that, well, we may not deserve them if we have a soul to give us great satisfaction. We never remember, we never forget them. And I hope that all y'all get days like that. I hope all y'all have got the kind of, I'm one of the, I've said it 2 or 3 times before, I've been blessed with a best friend. I have a person I could call from any place on the planet, any time of the day, say, come get me. And he would. And I hope, I've had so many cool vindications and so many wins and so many good days that I hope everybody gets a chance to get up and walk in with a 45-pound pack in the dark for 2 days and crest out at 8,000 feet, watch the sunrise, get a bugle from a big old bull. There's things that you have to experience, and then I hope that some of you get a chance to catch that big fish. I've had too much wind, so much wind in my life. Now I'm old, and I've caught the big fish. But today, I got that big fish moment again. That is really cool. It was a day that made me remember that, yes, every day that's good, we need to bow our head in thankfulness and appreciate where it all comes from, but there ain't nothing wrong when it all comes together and just tipping your head back and howl at the moon, man, howl it out. Because today I feel very, very vindicated. We set out to find out if this 277 Sig case, let's get back on to business here. New stuff is 99.989% of the time just a rehash of the old stuff. With a little BS added in for flavor. But as I said, when this case hove over my horizon, I looked at it and I said, guys, this might be as big a deal as the PPC. We're a long ways from proving that yet, but as I said, today I had me a day. 277 SIG cases I've been going through day by day, showing how I'm putting these pigs together, showing all the steps it takes to make an ugly looking roughed out case that looks like a 6x47 Lapua. And then in the last episode I actually stuck some in the gun and put some clay shotgun powder in them and a wad of toilet paper and popped them, and they came out looking more like cases. But as I said, you know, I was starting to get excited because I'm looking at this going, this held together. I lost a few due to cracks. I lost a few due to... I'm just slamming and jamming here, guys. This is no success yet, but we've turned down the road and we didn't fall off the side of the mountain when we did. In a life full of overpromise and underperform, in a life full of this thing is going to reset your clock, and you find out after you played with it and after you got your hopes up. It feels like Calvin. I've been monitoring Bill Watterson since the day he started writing, and Bill Watterson has been something that our kids have grown up on. Calvin and Hobbes is the best, but the series that he did on buying a beanie hat with a helicopter on top so he could fly should be a part of the folklore of growing up of any kid on this planet. Because any kid who hasn't lived that, and it doesn't happen much anymore, but you see the beanie hat in the magazine and you think that would be the coolest thing in the world. Beanie hat with a helicopter on top. You ask Mom, she says no. You ask Dad, and he says no, and adds on, they don't really work that way. And you go through weeks and weeks of feverish examination, and finally you get yourself a job, and you do what it takes to whatever it is that you can do around your house, your city, your farm, your wherever you are, and you raise a few bucks and you order your beanie hat and you sit back and you wait for. Remember, we're talking 60s and 70s here. It was not only snail mail, it was almost Wild West riding horses from station to station mail. Point is, you wait for 2 weeks and come home from school every day and you are leaping and jumping. You come home and you see the Johnson Smith package, the whatever package it is there, and you don't even make it to the house. You're dropping papers along the way that you got to turn around and run back and get because you're not a litter bug because you're raised right, but you want to get this thing, and you're looking for clouds. You're looking to see where you can go, and you put it on your head. And you don't feel like a winner. You don't fly. That's the kind of days that teach us to appreciate the days when we do fly, when it does work. We all need some of those too. We need both sides. We need to know the dark so that we can appreciate the light. And man, I ran across some light today. As I said, we set out to prove to ourselves. I've topped out the 6x47. It is a high pressure 80,000 pound everything case. It basically is the PPC of the BR, mid-range BR world. Now I realize that most of the world does not realize that, They don't agree with me. Most people will say, no, the 6mm dasher rules the 600-yard circuit until the wind gets bad. Well, I'm sorry, people, incapable of foresight, incapable of analysis of what you've got. This 6x47 case is the dasher. They're equal, except that the 6x47 case has a neck on it and the dasher doesn't. And the 6x47 case is made right and the dasher isn't. And let's not hash that whole thing. But let's just say, let's just admit that there's a place for the 6mm 105-ish grain bullet, and people can push them around 3100. My 6x47 Lapua tunes at 3160-ish, depending on the weather. I just went back through and looked at all of my loads because I had to work up the striffing to go ahead and pull the trigger on this 277 case. So I was looking back through and I'm running it depending on the heat. When the heat starts to run up, it wants to run around 3160. Cold weather takes a little more powder. Hot weather, when I feel like it's getting up around 3180, 3200. See, the mythical node that I was kind of striving for was 3250. In this case, will run at 3250, but it's right there to where if the temperature increases 10 degrees or if you screw up in any way, you will lose a primer pocket at 3250. Now I started with 243 Ackley improved, presuming that I could easily push 105s at 3250. But one way that I'm different than all the rest of y'all's and so many other people in the world is I fire my cases over and 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 over. I don't want them to wear out in 5 firings. So I finally did achieve that nirvana in the 6x47, 3250 max, 3152, and I won some stuff with it. The gun shoots. I got a bunch of pegs on the wall where I shot the peg right out of the center of the spotter disc. The gun is pretty inhumanly accurate. Well, the gun. It's not the gun. I have 7 barrels on 4 platforms that'll all compete. They're good. They're very, very good. But this 277 case hove up, and I went, whoa, this might reset the paradigm. So today, I'm going to turn down and let you start looking while I go through and explain what has happened today. All of the smoke and mirrors, all the crap that's come down the pike. As I said, I'm old and I'm a conspicuous consumer. I have bought a lot of stuff. And in many cases, in a huge, I've got more experience in that than most because I'm in concrete. You get out of the world of concrete and there are thousands of new things. And I go to the sportsman shows year after year after year. I've mentioned before colors. Colors are nothing. There's innovations. There's changes. There's stuff. There's people coming up tapping you on the shoulder like you're down in Vegas and somebody's trying to get you to stake a claim. They're saying, look what I invented. I just need some money and we'll both be rich, and on and on and on. Smoke and mirrors. My life has been full of them. So when something like this comes along and I set what I feel is a realistic goal, I says to myself, what I want to do with this new case, if it's possible, I've got a gun that shoots. It wins. It is as accurate as any 600-yard gun on the planet. A chambering, I should say, not a gun. Got a bunch of guns. But I want to go more. I want better. I didn't want anything until I saw this case. This case with the steel case head. When I saw this case, I went a little bit wiki-whack and I said, hey, this might change the world. This might be my generation's 6 PPC. I don't know. We are going to see. So anyway, I started down this road. and I started a humping, and I've been documenting it as we go. Well, today was my day. It was choppy, windy, blustery out there, and 85 degrees, and we're in the spring cycle where these big winds come in and blow the rain out. Of course, that's not true, but that's the way I put it. So we're in this really mixed up, and it's hot, and it's gorgeous. You know, the only thing missing is the clack, 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 clack of the jumping hoppers running down the driveway ahead of you. But let me tell you what I did. I decided for this first day, I'm going to keep it real simple. We're not going to accomplish a whole lot, but we're going to... I'll read to you. These are my notes, basically. Cases formed from 277 Fury. Now, my established load for this is 40.5 grains of H4350 with a Uber 108. I never shoot burgers. The Uber shoots for me. And I remember I've got a note on this barrel that I'm using, which is an old roach stout. But anyway, it's got a smiley face that says likes Ubers. Velocity, plus or minus 3150 at 70 degrees. I am using the Thing with the Molan Labe barrel, and I'm checking out a 7 to 35 loophole something or another. So it's not a super powerful scope, and it's got big holes in the crosshairs, and it's first focal plane, so it's kind of weird. But I decided, just because this is my load, I've been shooting it for almost 20 years, I'm going to go change a few things. I went with 40 grains to start with here of RL17 to fire form, and just find the target. No velocity. My stupid radar graph, whatever, stupid. I ended up going to get a crawny, drug it out of the back room, threw it up on a tripod night. After 40 grains, I'm on target. I decided I'm not even going to adjust the scope. I'm close enough to my aiming point. No velocity, so I fiddled with my chronograph, so-called lab radar, and jumped an entire grain, because it just felt like a pop. The case looked good. And the bullet was... I don't remember which one it was. It was down here where I was first getting started. Anyway, these are the stuff that I shot. We'll talk about it. There's one in here that's actually a Uber, and you can see the difference. The Uber is stable. These are stable. They're fine. But I didn't write any notes. I just went down. In fact, I used a Uber for the first one, as a matter of fact. I didn't shoot these first. These just kind of walked up to paper. This is a Uber 108 to fire form with. I just had one laying here. It probably had a ring or a dimple or had been dropped or something. Put that in there, made a nice black hole, decided I wouldn't even move anything. Then I started 41 grains, again, no velocity. And this was with the burger. Uber, then burger. Uber, then burger. And I'm not caring, I'm not nothing. That's the first one was 40 grains. The second one was 41 grains. So I went and got a crawny, put it out. 42 grains, and I want to get a velocity reading because I know I'm running hotter than I'm used to. Remember, I'm shooting this thing match ready at 3150. All I want to do is beat that by 200 feet per second. 42 grains, 3293. Got a reading on the crawny. Cool. 43 grains. I'm not screwing around. I'm just going to go up a grain at a time here. 3354. And the case neck dimpled, which means might have a hole in it. I took that case and I set it aside, and I took the next case This is the case that has the little incipient crack around the base of it. I don't think you can see it anymore, but it was there at one time. So I've got 3 rounds down the pipe at this point, and it's not doing anything, but cleaned the gun and decided I'm going to start firing for effect. Bumped up to 43 grains, 33.54. Chucked that case, trying the case with a crack. Possible incipient head separation. 43 grains, 34.02. 44 grains, 34.64. 45 grains. And I blew the top off the thing off my chrony. I got a reading of 4,000. I went, nah, that's not right. 45 grains again. 35.46. First reading is flawed because it blew the sky screen protector. 46 grains. I had to roll the powder in. That's something that none of you know about probably. But as I'm dumping, I don't have a drop tube set up. I'm up where I'm crunching now. 46 grains. I'm loading this thing by rolling it. Dumping and rolling and letting the powder go out. 46 grains, I hit 36.05. Now you got to understand something with me. You have got to understand, those of you who reload knows what this means. The old cases, which are the best cases on the planet, 3,300 wrecked the cases. 3250 would run, but it was really hard on cases. So 3250 was the prior ceiling. I stopped at 46 grains. I had to roll the powder in. I just wiped this case off. This case has never been sized. It's never been anything. I have loaded and fired this case all the way up to 3,600. Well, actually, it was 3605. That's 450 feet per second hotter. 350 feet per second hotter than this cartridge has ever run before. And the last 3 are in those 3 holes, and there's an entire grain of powder. They went up incrementally all the way up. The last grain of powder started to come together. So we are going to do another episode and talk more about this thing.